It's a hard struggle to go through, especially with the itchiness, because my hands were constantly in my hair and on my shoulders and my back. And it's like, I don't want to live like this. This is horrible. It's very frustrating. But like I said, you have to try different things. And because we're so individual, what works for me might not work for somebody else.
Welcome to the Healthy Skin Show with Jennifer Fugo, where we're flipping everything you've been told about your chronic skin issues upside down and connecting you with alternative solutions your dermatologist never told you about.
Before we dive into today's episode, I want to thank my sponsor, Cuss Cuss Skincare. Cuss Cuss products were created to assist in reducing inflammation through the wisdom naturally found in botanical ingredients. All formulas are non-GMO, 99% organic, 100% plant-based, and crafted with love to help nourish and rejuvenate your skin. One of my favorite products, their Sen Face Serum, includes CBD. I found it helps reduce redness and is so incredibly light that it's the only face serum that I'll apply in the morning to rehydrate my skin. Now, if you don't know what products are best for your skin, they offer sample packs for both their face serums and body waxes, both of which, by the way, I have purchased. There are so many different products that I love, and I know you will too. To support your journey to healthier skin, Cuss Cuss is offering Healthy Skin Show listeners 20% off your first order. All you have to do is visit them at cusscuss.com. That's KHUS-KHUS.com and join their email list to get access to the discount. Welcome back to episode number 21 of the Healthy Skin Show. I just want to say thank you so much to all of you who've been leaving amazing reviews and rating the podcast over on iTunes. If you haven't done so yet, please head over there and do that. It means so much to me, to this community, and to the message that we are carrying out to the world. Now, before we dive into today's interview, which is actually one of inspiration, someone who has been through it with psoriasis and has come out the other side and has some real words of wisdom to share with you about how she got there and what helped make the changes that improved the quality of her skin, I wanted to answer a question that I commonly get. And this is one that I've gotten a lot from my Instagram following. The question that I'm typically asked is, what is the best body wash to use that won't further dry out my skin? And in case you're wondering, yes, this question also applies to any type of soap, liquid, or a bar soap as well. The thing with this question is that it's actually the wrong question to ask. The question that I respond to people with, instead of giving them a simple answer, is, how many times a week are you taking a shower? And most people are showering every single day. And then I'll say, okay, well, if you're showering every single day, what are you doing to end up that filthy that it requires you to shower that frequently? You know, are you doing incredibly difficult workouts or rolling around outside and working in like manual labor? Is there something that's causing your body to be that dirty? Typically, the answer is no. They work an office job or they're at home and they have been conditioned over the years that they must shower every single day in order to stay clean. And that is not the case. Now, here's the thing. You guys haven't had access to the almost 50 interviews that I've already done. We have a lot in the pipeline coming your way. I do. And because I've already done those interviews, I have the ability to share with you one tidbit that you are going to hear repeatedly from doctors, researchers, and other skin professionals is that people shower too much. And this is one of the biggest issues in drying out your skin. Yes, you definitely want to switch to more natural products. But if you are showering and washing then your entire body 7 days a week, that is likely one of the reasons that your skin is drying out so much. So I'm no expert at this, but I am basing my answer off the conversation that I've had with other individuals, as well as my own personal experience. So take this information for what it's worth. I have found that showering every 2 to 3 days seems to be the happy medium. And when you get in the shower, you really only have to wash what I call the critical areas with some sort of soap. That includes both armpits, your groin, and between the butt cheeks. That's it. You're not putting soap all over your body and slathering and scrubbing unless you really have some dirt to get off the skin. Otherwise, you are disrupting the microbiome. You're creating inflammation on the skin, which is unnecessary. You are removing the natural oils of the skin. And by the way, your bacteria that live on your skin feed on oils, not on carbs and fermentable fibers like they do in your gut. So you don't necessarily want to remove the body's natural oils or lipids that are produced. And last but not least, water itself is a different pH than your skin. It's actually more basic or alkaline. And this is the similar issue that we have with coconut oil. Again, that too is too alkaline. And so that in and of itself can be incredibly drying. So what I would suggest is, number one, see about reducing the amount of times that you shower. Maybe if it's every day, try to go to every other day. And then as your body adjusts to that, see if you can then further push your shower schedule to once every 3 days. That way you give your skin time to relax and calm down. And yes, water in and of itself is enough, especially if you're washing your hair and you're using some soap on the body. That is certainly enough to, I don't understand fully at this point why there's such this drive to lather up one's entire body. I don't know what purpose it serves other than to make us feel clean or overly clean, but then we don't like the after effect. And you're going to hear more and more experts talk about the issue, especially here on the Healthy Skin Show, of over-sanitization, of removing more and more bacteria because we've become so bacteria phobic that we think that we've just got to keep cleaning and cleaning and cleaning. It's not to say that if your hands are dirty, you shouldn't wash them. But if you really haven't been exercising, is there a need to shower every single day? And there are other tips and hacks and things that you can do to get around not having to shower every day. For example, and this might sound silly, but one thing that I will do is if I'm a little stinky or right under the armpits, which happens, hey, that's natural. Your body tends to sweat and sometimes you can be a little stinky. I will actually just rinse the armpits with some soap over top of the sink. And that's it. I'll dry them off and that's it. But I'm not getting my entire body wet. I'm not lathering up. So even when I take a shower, I am not lathering my full entire body. There are plenty of ingredients that you certainly want to remove from your body care regimen and your skincare regimen. And we'll talk more about those coming up very soon in an episode with Rachel Pontillo. She knows a ton about ingredients and she will talk more in depth on this. But I just wanted to throw this out there as one way to, number one, take better care of your skin's microbiome. And number two, hopefully help reduce the drying effect of over showering and of over soaping. I hope that you found the answer to this question to be somewhat eye-opening. And if you feel kind of challenged by it because you're so used to showering all of the time, give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen? If you really don't like it, you can certainly go back to what you were doing before, unless, of course, your doctor has told you otherwise. If your doctor has told you that you should be showering every day because of a skin condition, then always go by what your doctor directs you to do. Okay, so I want to dive into today's conversation with a member of our community who has really cheered and championed on the Healthy Skin Show. I'm deeply, deeply grateful for her support, and that's why I was so appreciative that she was willing to sit down today and share with you some insights that she's gotten through her journey with psoriasis.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Today, we've got a special guest, someone who, this is actually the first time I've spoken with her and seen her because we're doing this via video Skype, but we've known one another for a number of months thanks to my private Facebook group. And she has a really unique and interesting story to share. And it's something that I think will completely resonate with you. And I think, too, her message is one of hope. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you today. So her name is Dahne Rodriguez. And Donnie, I don't want to give away too much here, but we met because you happened to hear about the event, the Eczema and Psoriasis Awareness Week that I hosted, which was it was the thing that I wanted to do to give back to a community of people that I feel like there's not a lot of good information out there about the skin. And I just wanted to help in some way. So tell us a little bit about where you were when you tuned into that online event.
Okay, well, I had terrible itching, mostly on my head, the nape of my neck, my shoulders, and it started to go down my back. And I was seeing a dermatologist at the time, and I saw the psoriasis and eczema seminar. You know, I went through the whole typical routine of creams and shots and sprays and sneezing the wrong way, and nothing seemed to help. Nothing. I was just so miserable. I just wanted to cry. And then when I saw the seminar, I started to figure, well, maybe I have some food triggers. So I listened to what you had said, and I started to eliminate different things. The first thing I did was I went to an allergist.
Okay.
Who was absolutely phenomenal. And the only thing that she discovered was that I was allergic to egg whites.
Interesting.
Now, I went low carb in November of 2015. And I was doing mostly keto. So it was a lot of bacon and eggs. I was eating eggs like they were going out of style. I couldn't get enough eggs.
Oh, wow. That must have shocked
chicken,
you.
Because I always ate a lot of chicken. But now, I pulled the eggs out first thing. And I figured, well, let me try yolks. But I had the same reaction. So when I eliminated whatever food triggers I could find, I thought, I don't know how long this is going to take, but let me try some other things. So I YouTubed. Yeah, that's silly. And I found a solution that this woman had used for her psoriasis. Now, I don't have plaque psoriasis, but I had biopsies done. And it showed that I had psoriasis. So I would heat up coconut oil, only extra virgin organic cold press that I would use. And I'd make up my own little mixture of tea tree oil and lavender. And I would put that on as a mask on my head and wrap my head up in plastic with a warm towel, and I would sleep with it. And that helped. But I think the majority of it really was to try to find the food triggers. And that really helps. So I really thank you for helping me with that.
Well, it's one of those things that we were just actually talking to. We should share this during this interview, is that, a lot of times people will assume that eczema is more complicated than psoriasis as far as food triggers. But a lot of people will assume, because there's these really strict elimination diets for skin, that apparently you can't eat like anything, and that includes nightshades and foods that contain a lot of salicylates, et cetera, et cetera. So I put up recipes that have all different things that I eat and that I recommend to clients. Some work for some don't. It's kind of a mixed bag. And the thing that you and I both shared is, like, for me, I can have tomatoes and nightshades and I don't have a flare-up of my eczema. However, you were saying, we were talking about tomatoes specifically, and you're okay with tomatoes, but what also bothers you?
Dairy. I had to stop dairy because I also have Hashimoto's besides the type 1 diabetes. So I eliminated soy, dairy. Now with dairy, the only thing I can use is ghee. I can't use full fat butter because that makes me go crazy. I don't eat any grains. And really, that's about it. I mean, it felt like I was going to starve because what foods are left for me to eat? I never really ate a lot of beef and pork because of digestive issues, which I think is all tied into all the triggers that I had. But there's lots of foods out there you can eat. I mix it up now between different proteins and vegetables, and that's what I live on. And I'm not starving. I'm not having any bad problems as long as I stay away from my trigger foods. Like I had a chicken crust pizza the other day, so I could feel it starting a little bit. But
and you were sharing with me, like you said, maybe some onions and peppers also bother you.
Onions and peppers, I cannot do.
Isn't that interesting how everyone's issues are different? Like for me, it's eggs.
Oh yeah, eggs.
Eggs.
I love eggs.
I love eggs too. Even the smell when my husband will make eggs, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could have eggs. But you know what's interesting, and I'll share this with everybody. If you do test positive for a reaction to eggs, so eggs typically are tested, it's usually chicken eggs. And so you can try duck eggs or some other type of eggs. I will admit, okay, so my food sensitivity test was done 10 years ago. Okay, 10 years ago. I have been really, really afraid to add or just try duck eggs. I've even bought them and they've gone bad in my refrigerator because I got so sick the last time I ate them. And Dr. Terry Walls and I have had multiple conversations about this because she too has an issue with eggs. And she said, no, don't worry. I'm the same way. I know that I can do it. I've personally had clients that have been able to do duck eggs after finding they're highly sensitive to chicken eggs with no problem. But I'm just so, it's interesting how having these reactions in our lives, it can almost scar you and make you afraid, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I want to just ask a question because I think that this is important for people to hear. So I'm sure that there's some level of frustration for you as far as like going to dermatologist. How did it feel going and getting I would assume you got the runaround just like everybody else.
I stopped going to see her about 2 months ago. And at that point, I was going to her office 3 times a week.
3 times?
3 times a week because she had me going for radiation therapy. And I have a big concern with that because of the thyroid problem.
Sure.
And she says, well, it's such a low level. It's not going to affect you. Well, my husband said, well, why do they leave the room if it's such a low-level radiation? I didn't think about that, but that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
And it didn't do anything. Nothing.
And so did you ever feel like you were getting straight answers? I mean, we're not in any way, shape, or form, by the way, trying to bash dermatologists because there's some really helpful ones out there.
I love my dermatologist. She's really a wonderful person. She's a good doctor, but she's just a conventional medical doctor, and she treats the same way as every other conventional medical doctor, prescriptions and all of that. And it just didn't work for me.
Did you ever feel like she was almost like running out of options in like what her toolkit? Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So in all of this, what do you think are some of the like 1 or 2 biggest things that have really helped you so far on your skin journey?
Apple cider vinegar. Ooh. I know we have talked about this on Facebook.
We have.
And I use it straight. I get an organic brand. I usually use Bragg's. I don't know if I can say the name or not.
That's okay. That's totally fine.
It's organic and it has the mother in it. You have to have the organic vinegar with the mother in it because that's really what is good for the skin and the hair. My hair, it was like so limp and I was having a lot of hair falling out. And a lot of it could have been from the Hashimoto's. But since I started using it, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. I wash my hair with Dr. Bronner's Castile soap. And then I rinse with apple cider vinegar and I leave that on in the shower. My hair is so full and healthy now. I can't believe it. That more than anything else has really helped.
Do you rinse out? Because I'm sure ladies listening might be curious about this. Once you put the apple cider vinegar in, do you rinse that out then before you get out?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I just wanted to check.
Because the smell kills my husband. So once your hair is dried, you don't smell it.
And this is because of the eczema, or excuse me, the
whatever I have.
Whatever you have on the head, on the scalp.
And I also have an autoimmune, it's an infection type of thing on my head. They look like moles, but they bleed profusely. And there's not much else except to try to straighten out my immune system, which I'm trying to do now. So, got a book and have to read the book and
Doing the best you can.
yeah, but you have to persevere in it because it's not going to go away overnight. You just have to be persistent. And if something doesn't work, you have to change it up a little bit. And I've done a lot of reading and a lot of searching and asking questions, and watching like your seminar is really what did it for me. And I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you got a lot out of it. I got so many amazing notes from people. Just also saying, too, there's nowhere where there's so much consolidated information on skin rash issues. And that was always my goal. When I was doing research for myself, I realized that you had to look in all these different random places. There's some information here and there, but not all of it is really well referenced, frankly.
No, it really isn't. And you can't trust Google anymore because they send you to conventional medical sites, which I had just read about a couple weeks ago. I said, that makes sense.
Exactly.
You go right to it.
Exactly. And so you're not really seeing alternatives. And that's something that can be really frustrating. But when you were going through this, and actually I should ask, how long have you had the psoriasis for, or the skin issues?
I had read that 95% of type 1 diabetics have psoriasis.
Wow.
And most of the time they have the psoriasis before they're diagnosed with the type 1.
And did you have it before you were diagnosed?
I think I did. Okay. Because looking back at the blisters and all that I had on my skin, I think that's what it was.
And how did it make you feel? Because I think this is important for somebody who's listening to this going, well, she seems like a pretty happy woman. She's, doing good. She's turned things around. Has it harmed your self-esteem or just not felt like you just don't feel like yourself having these skin issues?
Definitely. I mean, it's a hard struggle to go through, especially with the itchiness, because my hands were constantly in my hair and on my shoulders and my back. And it's like, I don't want to live like this. This is horrible. It's very frustrating. But like I said, you have to try different things. And because we're so individual, what works for me might not work for somebody else.
That is so true. That is such an important point. So for everybody that's listening, just know that what has worked for Donnie and for me might not quite work for you. But I think it's important to always keep taking those baby steps forward, right? I always say Rome wasn't built in a day. It's like piecing together this complex puzzle. And, if you hit a certain point, it's okay to ask for help. I mean, when I go and get testing done, I get one of my colleagues to review everything for me because I'm too connected to my problems.
Exactly.
So I always ask for help, and don't be afraid to ask for help because sometimes you don't have all the experience to know where you should be looking or if you're doing something that isn't quite right. So today, now that you've been able to resolve some of these issues and you're feeling, I would assume, a bit more normalcy now that your skin's starting to clear up, what has changed for you just as far as like now you don't have that itching, your hands aren't in your hair all the time? How does that feel now being on the other side or heading in the right direction?
Well, for the first time since I was a teenager, I'm wearing tank tops.
Wow.
Because it was like a rash, a red, horrible, oozing rash all my shoulders and my back. And now it's all clear, completely cleared. And I'm just really happy about that. So being in Florida, it's very hot.
Yeah.
So tank tops are an asset.
And do you find too that the heat, you're in Florida, so heat, humidity go hand in hand there. Do you find that seemed to help you or to make it worse?
It really didn't bother me in any way because really with me, anything below 80 is too cold.
Fair enough. Well, you and I are from the same area, so yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you for moving down there. Yeah. Last point I'd love to make is what you said, to persevere, to keep trying different things. If someone was listening to you right now, Donnie, and they're feeling really hopeless, like they've got rashes everywhere, they are itching, they're up all night in pain and dealing with the oozing and nothing is helping, what would you say to that person having started to see actual improvements? Like you can wear a tank top now and not feel embarrassed or any number of things. What would you say to that person?
This is hard.
It is a hard thing.
The first thing I would try is to make sure that the skin is moisturized. That's really important because I have dry skin anyway. Thank you, Mother. But coconut oil really, really help. But I like to use essential oils, and you have to make sure you buy really good products, clean, organic products, because everything else, you don't know what's in them.
That is true.
So I would start there just to moisturize. Find what works for you. Don't go into a drugstore and pick something off the shelf because it probably has a lot of chemicals in it. And I try to eliminate as much chemical processing, whether it's in shampoos or soaps or whatever. That's why I use the Castile soap, because it's nothing but soap.
Yeah. And so it sounds like the first step that you would recommend is A, keep the skin moisturized, and B, you got to figure out what works for you.
Yeah. And the apple cider vinegar, it gets rid of that itch. I wouldn't recommend putting it on open skin or anything like that, because that would burn. It's not worth it. You might try to dilute it a little bit, maybe in the beginning, just so you can get your skin used to it. Because one thing is that it does make your skin look flushed. But that's just, I think, the antibacterial properties of the vinegar. But that, more than anything else, has really helped. And I still, even though I'm clear, I still use it when I take a shower. I put it in a sippy cup.
And I don't blame you. I still do things and I still always check my hands, like every couple of days. I will still look them over. I know my hands have been clear now for almost a year. Knock on wood. But I still, I had this weird snag on my finger and I was like, oh no. This was yesterday and I was like, oh gosh, is it starting to crack? And then I realized, okay, I don't know what happened, but I peeled it off and there's nothing there. I'm like, okay, we're okay.
You have to do it, though. As soon as you see something, you can take care of it right away.
Exactly. So vigilance. And also too, I like what you said. I agree in cleaning out the chemicals and getting rid of the things that you're putting on your skin that are being sucked in that could potentially be making things worse. I know that they say eczema relief, the ultimate dry formula, whatever their fancy marketing terms are, but you and I both know those products are not really helpful. And by the way, a lot of them are formulated, and we'll have a few guests on here who have and will continue to talk about how they're formulated to actually dry the skin out so you continue to use the product. So it's very counterintuitive. So in the moment it feels good, and then it gets drier and you have to keep using it. So it's like they keep you hooked that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had gotten a book about essential oils, and they have different recipes in it and things like that. So I know what's safe to use and the quantities so I can put together things myself.
That's great. Well, Donnie, I just want to thank you so much for joining us. I deeply appreciate you coming on the show. It's so great to have you.
It's so nice to meet you. Thank you for everything that you've done for me. I so appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Again, I want to take a moment to thank Donnie for joining us. And if you have a story about your skin and your journey with your chronic skin rash condition that you'd love to share with the community, please email us. Go over to skinterrupt.com or thehealthyskinshow.com and send us a message through the contact form. We are always looking for inspirational stories to share with and uplift our community, and to let you know that there always is hope, no matter where you are. I just want to take a moment to thank you so much for joining us today and being a part of this community, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.